Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into Amgen.
AMGN.
AMGN, excuse me. One of the, I guess you could say, powerhouses in the biotech world.
Yeah.
And you've provided us with a variety of sources. We have financial analysis from TipRanks and Zacks, some insights from Amgen's own pipeline, and even its Wikipedia page, which surprisingly, gives some pretty good background on Amgen.
Yeah.
Its history, some of its acquisitions, things like that.
Absolutely.
So the goal here is to give you a solid foundation so you can decide if AMGN is a stock that you should consider for your portfolio.
For sure. And these sources together really do give us a comprehensive view of the company.
Yeah.
So we can really look at its past performance, where it's currently standing, and what its potential is for the future.
Okay, great. So let's start with a brief overview. I mean, we always do this, right?
Yeah.
Amgen, it trades under the ticker symbol AMGN, obviously. And it was founded in 1980.
Wow. So it's been around for a while.
Yeah, for a while. And the name is actually derived from applied molecular genetics,
Okay.
which explains the ticker symbol.
Right.
It's headquartered in Thousand Oaks, California. And it's listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. And notably, it's also included in some, I guess, major indexes like the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500.
So it's a big player in the market.
Yeah, it seems to be. And so being included in these indexes, that signifies that it's a, what do they call it, a blue chip stock.
Right. Typically, blue chip stocks are associated with well-established companies.
Right.
Companies that have, a proven track record of financial stability and performance.
Okay, so let's talk about the financial performance, which of course is really important for any investor. TipRanks analysts have set price targets for AMGN, offering some insights into potential future performance.
It's important to remember, though, that price targets are really just forecasts.
Yeah.
They're not guarantees of future performance.
Of course, yeah.
Stock prices can be influenced by so many factors and can really deviate quite significantly from projection.
Right, so we have Zacks, another financial analysis firm, and they actually rate AMGN as a hold, which I guess suggests that its performance, at least in the coming months, may align with the broader market. So, I mean, it's not like a strong buy recommendation.
Right.
But it's not a sell signal either.
It's sort of neutral.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. Zacks also assigns AMGN a value score of B.
Okay.
And this score, what it does is it considers metrics like the price-to-earnings ratio and the price-to-book ratio. And what this suggests is that Amgen might be trading at a discount compared to its intrinsic value.
Okay.
So this could be appealing to value investors who are always looking for stocks that they think are potentially undervalued by the market.
Right. Okay, so moving beyond just the financial metrics, let's talk about what Amgen actually does. So they develop and manufacture what are called therapeutic biologicals.
Oh, right.
So these are drugs that are derived from living sources.
Interesting.
And this contrasts with traditional pharmaceuticals, which are typically synthesized chemically.
Right. So it's a very different approach to drug development.
Yeah, it seems like it. And biologics, they often exhibit greater complexity, right?
Right. Yeah, because they're targeting very specific biological pathways.
Right.
And this often leads to highly specialized treatments.
Yeah. And so some of Amgen's most, I guess, prominent products include Aimovig, which is for migraines.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Aranesp for anemia.
Yeah.
Enbrel for arthritis.
Yeah.
And Neupogen for neutropenia.
Neutropenia?
Yeah, which is a condition characterized by low white blood cell count.
Right.
So these medications that we just talked about, they address some pretty significant medical needs.
Yeah, for sure.
Which reflects Amgen's focus on, creating therapies that have a real impact.
Absolutely. And you can see from the range of products you just mentioned, their product portfolio is quite diverse.
Yeah.
It encompasses various therapeutic areas.
Right.
And this diversification is actually really important for mitigating risks.
Okay.
So if one product encounters challenges, maybe there's some regulatory hurdles or increased competition or something, the other products can potentially offset that impact.
Right, that makes sense. So looking ahead, Amgen's pipeline provides a glimpse into, I guess, what they're working on, their future endeavors.
Yeah.
And it looks like the company is actively engaged in developing some promising new drugs for a range of diseases, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, and inflammatory conditions.
So this pipeline is really vital to Amgen's growth story.
Okay.
Because if these drugs successfully navigate clinical trials and then they gain regulatory approval, they could really enhance Amgen's revenue and earnings.
Right. And so Amgen's growth strategy doesn't just stop at internal research and development.
Yeah.
They also have a history of strategic acquisitions.
Right.
to expand their reach and their product offerings.
Hmm.
So, for example, one notable acquisition was Immunix Corporation back in 2002. And this acquisition gave Amgen control of Enbrel,
Okay.
which, has evolved into one of their most successful products.
Wow.
And then more recently, they acquired 5 Prime Therapeutics in 2021.
Okay.
And that acquisition really bolstered their oncology pipeline.
So they're not afraid to make big moves.
No, it seems like they're very proactive in pursuing growth opportunities. So let's shift our focus a little bit to ESG factors.
Yeah.
Environmental, social, and governance
Right.
considerations, which are increasingly important to a lot of investors nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Investors are really looking at the bigger picture now,
Right,
beyond just financial performance.
right. So Amgen has pledged to achieve net zero emissions by 2027,
Okay.
which, aligns with this growing global emphasis on sustainability.
Yeah, it's a pretty significant commitment.
Yeah.
It really shows a dedication to reducing their environmental impact, and it's something that will definitely resonate with investors who are concerned about climate change.
Right, for
Yeah.
sure. And so in terms of sustainability, Amgen has implemented various initiatives ranging from reducing their carbon footprint to promoting responsible water use. And additionally, they emphasize diversity and inclusion within their workforce.
So they're taking a very holistic approach to corporate responsibility.
Yeah, seems like it.
And this is appealing to investors who really value ESG factors in their investment decisions.
Okay, great. So like any investment, there are pros and cons to owning, I guess, AMGN.
Right.
On the positive side, they boast a pretty strong track record of financial performance and a history of growth. Their product portfolio is diversified.
Right.
And they're active in research and development and strategic acquisitions.
Yeah.
All of this kind of points towards their continued expansion.
Absolutely. And their commitment to sustainability is also a big plus
Yeah.
for a lot of investors these days.
Right. However, potential investors should also consider some of the cons.
Yeah.
Amgen has faced legal controversies in the past, notably related to marketing practices back in 2012.
Okay.
And, while past performance doesn't guarantee future outcomes, these incidents should be acknowledged.
Yeah, for sure. You have to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
And another potential challenge for them stems from the emergence of what are called biosimilar drugs.
Biosimilar.
Yeah, these are essentially generic versions of biologics.
Okay.
So as patents on older drugs expire, competition from these biosimilars could start to put pressure on Amgen's pricing.
Right, that makes sense. So navigating this evolving landscape will be, pretty crucial for Amgen's continued success in the biotech industry.
Absolutely. It's a competitive space. Now, when we look at Amgen's valuation,
Yeah.
Zacks gives them a value score of B,
Right.
which suggests there might be some undervaluation there.
Well,
But, it's important to remember we
Yeah.
got to compare them to
Yeah.
their peers
Right.
in the biotech sector.
Mm.
We have to consider the broader market conditions
Right.
to really get a full picture
Yeah.
of their relative value.
Right. And valuation isn't just a standalone metric.
No.
We have to consider it
Yeah.
along with their fundamentals, their growth prospects, and, an investor's own personal goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their own risk tolerance.
Couldn't agree more. A stock that seems cheap
Right.
might not always be a wise investment.
Yeah,
Thorough research is key,
for sure.
and making sure that it aligns with your overall investment strategy
Right.
is
right.
really, really important.
Okay, so let's talk about Amgen's dividend policy.
Okay.
This is particularly noteworthy, I think, for income-seeking investors.
Right.
So they have a consistent track record of paying dividends.
Mm-hmm.
They've been steadily increasing the payout over the years.
Yeah.
So this really reflects a commitment to returning value to shareholders.
Right. And, their current dividend yield,
Yeah.
it's actually quite competitive. Compared to other large cap biotech companies,
Okay.
it's not the absolute highest in the industry,
Right.
but, just focusing on yield
Yeah.
can be a little misleading.
Right.
When you're evaluating a dividend stock, you have to consider the payout ratio, the history of the dividend growth,
Mm.
and the company's overall financial health.
Yeah, that's important because,
Absolutely.
a high dividend yield, it might seem really attractive
Right.
first glance.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean much if it's not sustainable in the long term.
Exactly. And that's where the payout ratio comes in.
Okay.
Amgen has a pretty reasonable payout ratio.
Right.
This indicates that they're not overextending themselves with those dividend payments.
Right.
which is a positive sign for sustainability.
Okay, great. So in addition to dividends,
Yeah.
Amgen's also been actively repurchasing its own shares.
Share buybacks. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is a strategy that can actually enhance shareholder value.
Right. By reducing the number of outstanding shares.
Exactly.
And that can potentially boost earnings per share.
Yeah. It's important to understand the difference between dividends and share buybacks.
Yeah.
Because they both aim to return value to shareholders.
Right.
But they do it through different mechanisms.
Right.
So dividends provide those direct cash payments.
Right.
Whereas buybacks benefit shareholders indirectly by potentially increasing the value of their remaining shares.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I guess they both kind of signal
Yeah.
that a company has financial strength.
Absolutely.
And that they're confident in their future prospects.
Yeah, for sure. So, we've talked about their current performance.
Right.
But let's kind of take a step back
Yeah.
and revisit Amgen's history, because it's really quite a story.
Yeah.
They went from a small startup
Right.
to this global biotech powerhouse.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
It is impressive. And, since its founding in 1980, they've definitely encountered some successes.
Yeah.
And they've encountered some challenges.
Right.
But one thing that's remained constant is their commitment to innovation.
Absolutely. Their pioneering work in recombinant DNA technology was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It led to the development of so many essential medications for a wide range of diseases.
Yeah. And it seems like they've consistently demonstrated adaptability.
Right.
They've strategically acquired companies.
Yeah.
And they've invested in emerging technologies.
Right.
So they're really trying to maintain that competitive edge.
Absolutely. And those acquisitions we were talking about earlier, like Immunix Corporation in 2002, bringing Enbrel into their portfolio.
Yep.
And more recently, the 5' Therapeutics acquisition in 2021.
Right.
Strengthening their oncology pipeline.
Yeah.
Those are prime examples of their strategic approach to growth.
Right. Okay. So let's go a little deeper into Amgen's ESG initiatives.
Okay.
Particularly their commitment to environmental sustainability. Their goal of achieving net zero emissions by 2027.
Yeah.
It's ambitious.
It is.
But I think it's attainable.
Yeah.
Given their proactive approach.
And they've already implemented so many initiatives to reduce their carbon footprint, like adopting renewable energy sources, enhancing energy efficiency across their operations.
And their efforts extend beyond their own operations, too.
Right.
They're collaborating with their suppliers.
Yeah.
To minimize emissions throughout the supply chain.
That's great.
Yeah. So this comprehensive approach to sustainability, it's something that definitely resonates with environmentally conscious investors.
Absolutely. It shows they're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. So to kind of wrap up our deep dive into Amgen, let's weigh the pros and cons of potentially adding this stock to your portfolio.
All right. So on the plus side, Amgen is definitely a financially strong company.
Right.
They have a really long history of success. Their product portfolio is diverse.
Yeah.
They have a promising pipeline.
Right.
And they're really dedicated to growth and sustainability.
Yeah.
So, they're appealing to a lot of investors.
And, their consistent dividend policy and their active share buyback program, those make them particularly appealing to income-seeking investors.
Right. However, there are some potential downsides.
Yeah.
We talked about the competition from biosimilar drugs.
Yeah.
And they also have those past legal controversies. So, those are factors that investors should think about.
For sure.
When they're kind of assessing the overall risk profile of investing in Amgen.
At the end of the day, the decision to invest in Amgen, it's a personal one.
Of course.
It really depends on your investment goals, your risk tolerance, and your own individual assessment of what the company's prospects are.
Okay, so this deep dive, I think, has given everyone a pretty comprehensive overview of Amgen. And, it should equip you with the knowledge to make an informed decision.
Absolutely.
About whether this aligns with your investment strategy.
We always encourage people to, continue doing your research, explore any areas that really pique your interest, and, keep digging into Amgen's story.
Yeah. Go to their website.
Yeah.
Read analyst reports.
For sure.
Compare them to their competitors.
Absolutely.
So you can really get that well-rounded perspective.
Exactly. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Amgen,
Yeah.
we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, please do.
And let us know in the comments what other stocks you'd like us to explore.
Yeah, we're always looking
We're always eager
for new investment opportunities.
Absolutely.
So uncover.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us
On the deep dive.